Unaware his wife was pregnant with triplets and had just inherited $100 million, Ethan signed the divorce papers with a smile, believing he was finally free from the barren woman who could never give him an heir. To him, Grace was a closed chapter, a quiet, fragile wife who spent years praying for children that never came. But as he slipped a diamond ring on his mistress's finger, he had no idea that Grace, the woman he discarded like dust, was carrying not one but 3 lives with his name written in their blood. Nor did he know that the fortune she silently inherited the same week he left would make her wealthier than the entire empire he'd sacrificed her for. But what happens when the man who divorced his barren wife discovers she wasn't barren at all? When the woman he abandoned rises with 3 children and $100 million behind her name? And what will Ethan do when he realizes Grace's next move isn't forgiveness, but something far more shocking? Grace Carter once believed in forever. Her marriage to Ethan was supposed to be the dream, the fairy tale built on love, laughter, and late-night promises whispered over coffee and shared ambitions. But marriage had turned her into a ghost, one who cooked his meals, smiled through his moods, and blamed herself each month when the pregnancy test came back negative. The doctor said it was stress-related. Ethan said it was her fault. The word barren had become her shadow, echoing through every silence between them. The night he left, she didn't cry. She just stood by the window, her hand resting subconsciously on the small curve of her belly, unaware yet that 3 hearts already beat within her. The storm outside mirrored the one building in her chest. Lightning flashed, illuminating the divorce papers on the table, his ring beside them like a mockery of everything they once promised. Ethan had already moved on to Olivia Grant, the woman he said understood him. Grace remembered Olivia's smile, sharp, smug, and certain. Weeks later, when the doctor told her she was pregnant, Grace sat in stunned silence. The world blurred, sound disappeared, and for the first time in years, her tears weren't from pain. They were from disbelief. She had life within her. 3 lives, triplets. The word alone felt like both a miracle and a secret weapon. But she said nothing. The man who had humiliated her didn't deserve to know the gift he threw away. When her father died shortly after, grief tangled with the fragile joy growing inside her. At the reading of the will, she sat quietly at the long mahogany table, surrounded by lawyers and relatives whispering about her failed marriage. But when her name was called to my daughter, Grace Carter, I leave my controlling shares and assets of Wellington Holdings estimated at $100 million. The room fell silent. Her fingers trembled as she signed the inheritance papers. And in that moment, something inside her shifted. She was no longer the woman begging for love. She was a woman with power, wealth, and a reason to fight back. 6 months later, the world knew her as Emily Hale. The change wasn't sudden.